Bareback bronco busting. The rodeo's wildest competition. No one knows that better than cowboy Richard Slaughter.
The stronger the horse and the stronger the ride, the more points you are, the more money you win.
Tucson, Arizona. Richard's in the chute and ready to go.
Richard Rumpel stops Slaughter and get up.
The gate opens and the bucking bronco charges across the ring. The whistle blows and Richard thinks the ride is over. The raging stallion has other ideas. Let's watch again. Without warning, the wild Mustang leaps over the fence and into the crowd.
I don't know what that horse was thinking when he went over like that.
The violent spill launches Richard head first into a concrete bleacher, knocking him unconscious.
The last place you want to be is unconscious and under a bucking horse's feet.
Again, we need our first aid crew. Into the arena if we could, please. First aid, we need you. Right now, come on the run, first aid.
The panicked horse runs off, but Richard is still down. Emergency personnel rush to his side.
Get you to stand back and give the cowboy some room. The first aid crew will take care of the cowboy there.
Although he suffered a serious blow to the head, somehow Richard staggers to his feet.
When I first stood up, I couldn't have told you my name or what state I was in.
Richard's fellow cowboys help him back to the corral. He recovers, but it will be a long time before the memory of his ordeal rides off into the sunset.
In the 25 years I've been riding bucking horses, I've never had one do something like that with me. It was a horse I'll really never forget.
Port Phillip Bay, Australia. Radio personality Laurie Atlas is on hand to cover the annual Festival of Sailboats. But instead of broadcasting his report from the shore, Atlas decides to take to the sky in a helicopter.
Watching sailboats is a bit like watching paint dry, one would think, but from the air it looks very, very good. So the idea was that I'd do a report and tell everyone how wonderful it was.
Atlas finishes his program and the pilot heads back for dry land. But something goes wrong. The helicopter is losing power and struggling to stay in the air.
I remember thinking, this is not what I think should happen.
Then, just 50 yards from shore, disaster strikes. Suddenly, the chopper plunges into the water and sinks below the surface. Somehow the pilot manages to swim to the surface and is helped by a passing boat. But Atlas is trapped underwater, unable to remove his safety harness.
This thing is meant to save my life. Yet, quite frankly, I think it's making me die.
With time and air running out, the pilot swims below the surface to free the drowning man.
The pilot dived back down, pushed me back down, and loosened this harness. It seemed so easy when he did it, but I couldn't do it. He saved my life.
Thanks to the bravery of the pilot, Atlas makes it out alive. Edmonton, Canada. It's a peaceful winter's day. The serenity is shattered when the driver of this car accidentally hits the gas instead of the brakes. Let's watch again. His out-of-control vehicle hurtles past the stop sign and jumps the curb. Its first victim is a street sign. This parked car is next on the hit list. After mowing down another sign, the car smashes a second vehicle. Then, to the relief of insurance companies everywhere, the destructive driver comes to a halt. Despite the damage to her car, one victim of this rampage takes it with a smile.
I wish you would have told us. I'd like to get a new car out of it. I wanted to come back and hit it again.
The car's driver, Sherman Townsend, remembers the moment he went slip-sliding away.
It looked like a sheet of ice. Kept sliding.
Although he lost control of his car, at least Sherman hasn't lost sight of what's important.
I really hit the car with a live person.
The world's most amazing videos will return.
Further ado, I would like to introduce our first performer.
It's a special night for magician Scott Bray.
Any questions?
Scott is performing for an audience of his peers at a national magicians conference. He's aware that nothing short of perfection will impress his colleagues. Also in attendance is Scott's wife, Drew. She watches 10 feet from center stage as her husband dazzles the audience. The routine goes flawlessly. And now, it's time for the grand finale. The crowd falls silent as Scott prepares for his fire-breathing finish. This trick is so dangerous that he is the only magician in the state who will dare to attempt it. He ignites 2 torches. Then, Scott holds them dangerously close to his face and unleashes a giant ball of fire. But there's trouble. And this is no trick. Scott's face erupts in flames. Watch this terrifying moment again. Scott sprays a mouthful of highly flammable liquid at the torches. But he has used too much fuel. His face is instantly engulfed. Scott's wife screams in horror as he disappears behind the curtain. The spectator jumps on stage to stomp out the remaining flames. Now backstage, Drew rushes to his side. Again, she is heard screaming out in terror. Drew sees that her husband has been badly burned.
He was laying on the floor face down, and my friend rolled him over, and it was awful.
Incredibly, Scott survives. But his face, neck, and hands are severely injured. Miraculously, Scott makes a complete recovery. But will he attempt this trick again?
The fire eating, no, because I care a lot for my wife and a lot of people who care for me also. I ended up taking it out of my act.
Scott Bray is living proof that if you play with fire, you will get burned. Sydney, Australia. An enormous blaze has erupted at a natural gas plant. Firefighters keep their distance because inside are 4 10,000-gallon tanks of highly explosive liquid petroleum. Suddenly, a series of fiery blasts rocks the neighborhood. Nearby, windows rattle at the city's international airport, where thousands of gallons of aviation fuel are stored.
We thought it was a jumbo had crashed. This giant red flame come through the house.
Down up the area! Unless you want to be arrested!
Bracing for a potentially bigger explosion, police evacuate all residents within a 2-mile radius of the plant.
Police emergency. All plant residents and non-residents are requested to evacuate emergency.
Major Frank Wilson was in charge of the emergency procedure.
We have a potential to wipe out 40,000 people in an instant. You just can't comprehend the danger that was involved.
They're expecting an explosion within the next minute. Everybody evacuate the area.
So many things happened within minutes. It was just one of those very scary times.
Then, moments later, a geyser of flames erupts into a gigantic explosion, filling the sky with fire. Here's how the colossal blast looked from almost half a mile away.
LPG still exploding. Cannot get near fire, causing explosions and a radiant heat.
The The blaze is now raging at over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so firefighters are ordered to stay back until it burns itself out. But then, a report comes from the front line that one of the gas tanks is emitting a high-pitched sound. The noise indicates that pressure is building in the tank.
You can tell normally from the noise, if you hear it starting to really get loud, I'll jump straight down. So make it a real quick trip.
Seconds later, an enormous cloud of flames shoots 1,800 feet into the sky.
Just heard a bang and then I saw a mushroom.
The horrible airy feeling, we thought it was an earthquake.
Well, all the house shook, the windows shook him out of bed.
An onlooker was videotaping the blaze with his camcorder during the monstrous eruption. This spectacular close-up view of the blast shows that the 10,000-gallon tank is launched across the ground like a rocket. The fire rages until dawn. Daylight reveals that the massive storage tank landed in a creek 300 yards from where it had been bolted to the ground. It wiped out several small buildings in its path before hurtling into the water. Trucks and other heavy equipment were blown up and reduced to chunks of molten metal. Thankfully, everyone escapes this fiery night of horror with their lives.
Never heard a noise like it in my life.
I want to get out as soon as possible. Oh, sugar, oh, terrible.
The world's most amazing videos will return.